Alanis Morissette was a feisty teenager with a whole lot to say. At 19 years old, Alanis pumped all that angst into writing one of the biggest albums of the decade, Jagged Little Pill. The album sold 33 million copies worldwide, thanks in part to this little hit.
It's like rain on your wedding day. It's a free ride on your wedding day.
Alanis Morissette, welcome to the project.
Thank you for having me.
Now, this is the very first time that we've had you on the project, so I feel quite honoured. What's taken us so long?
I don't know, what are our problems?
Well, one of the problems could be that I think for 25 years now, we've been getting the pronunciation of your name wrong. We call you Alanis, but can you give us the correct pronunciation?
There is no correct. I've really come to terms with the fact the Canadian version is Alanis.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say Alanis, Alanis, Alanis.
Oh.
I really don't care. I've dissociated from my name many years ago.
Her name might not mean anything to her, but last year certainly did. 2020 marked 25 years since Jagged Little Pill was first released.
I've read that you were worried about it selling. 33 million copies later, have you stopped worrying?
No, I haven't stopped worrying, but I'm just not worried about that anymore. I'm always worrying. We thought initially they thought maybe 175,000 copies, and I remember having heard that number and thinking to myself, oh my God, that's a lot.
Why do you think fans connected with it so strongly and continue to?
I think it very much gives people permission to feel anything and to tap into different parts of ourselves. You know, the parts of us that have murderous rage, the parts that are really tender and vulnerable, the parts of us that are really excited and passionate, part of us that is bored. You know, it's like being on stage, certainly, and also just directly through the music. I've come to see that it has given people permission to feel.
Getting Jagged Little Pill off the ground was a hard slog. The album was rejected by several record labels before landing at Maverick, and the criticism didn't stop there.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
You've copped a bit of grief over the years because the lyrics aren't actually ironic. Are you over people bringing that to your attention, people like me?
No, I think it took me a minute or two to realize why there was such fervor around my malapropism. So I've come to terms with the fact that I'm really, really intelligent and then also really, really not intelligent sometimes.
That just means you keep on learning, right?
Exactly. But now I'm aware that people are very much looking at it with a fine-tooth comb, so my bootstraps are pulled up.
Alanis will be taking her famous malapropism on tour down under at the end of the year.
Now, before that happens and you're back in Oz, there's another very big thing happening.
We're bringing Jagged Little Pill, the musical, to Australia, to Sydney, and I'm so excited about it.
Jagged Little Pill, the musical, is the singer's latest brainchild. It's sold out shows and scored 15 Tony noms since opening on Broadway nearly 2 years ago.
So the musical is not actually your life story. Tell us what it is actually about.
The challenge and the reason why it did take us a few years to find the appropriate writer was because I didn't want a jukebox musical, and I didn't want it to be about me. Although there's pieces of me everywhere in the musical, but and what was your question again? Sorry, I have postpartum brain right now. What was the question?
My youngest is 23 and I've still got postpartum brain.
Yeah, my dad says it stops at 60, so I look forward to that. Okay.
Alanis may have forgotten the question, but she's not forgetting the lyrics, especially when it comes to her new album.
Here we are. I feel such rapture and the comfort is so strong. Oh.
And this particular record, such pretty forks in the road. I wrote a song, Losing the Plot and Diagnosis, about being in Los Angeles with postpartum depression, or as I call it, postpartum activity. And it happens every time, I have to write, jump out of bed element of writing a record. And then once it's finished, it feels sacred, but it's just a snapshot of a period of time.
I am losing the plot.
You have been very honest about postpartum depression. How are you doing these days?
Not great. I mean, I'm doing well. You know, I'm a white knuckler. I'm a soldier to the degree that I know how to handle it because it's my third time going through it. You know, that's helpful. But it doesn't exempt me from the experience of it. So there were a lot of reasons to believe that it would continue with my second and third child, and it did, and it just got progressively more challenging. I know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, so I'm really looking forward to that and keeping my eye on that prize, but I'm not quite there yet.
Postpartum depression isn't the only personal experience Alanis has spoken out about. Her single Hands Clean documents her own sexual assault.
Flash forward to a few years later. No one knows except the both of us.
But it didn't resonate the way she'd hoped.
I actually thought that it would open up much more of a dialogue around sexual abuse. But it was a little, you know, probably 15 years or so before the Me Too movement formally happened. But eventually, I mean, I would speak about it. And then when the Jagged Little Pill musical came into being, there was a lot of talk about, you know, to what degree are we going to tackle the sexual abuse conversation? And I said, we have to, because I'm here and I want to be the one to support the ongoing conversation around this.
You wash your hands clean of this.
For more than 2 decades, Alanis has been the unofficial poster girl for female rage.
Why do you think it's important to maintain the rage?
Well, I think as a human being and as a feminist, if you're not angry, perhaps you're not paying attention. I'm just like, there's
We might
so
get
much
you to talk to our
patriarchy.
Prime Minister about that.
Okay, well, happy to.
That's a whole other conversation.
We're going to have that later.
I'm going to get you an appointment in November when you're down here.
Okay, God, that's not daunting at all. But yes, okay, I'll do it.
We are so looking forward to having you down under.
I can't wait to come back. It's one of my favorite places in the whole world. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much, Alanis.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
And we'll get your name right from now on.
There's no wrong.